right. Hello, everyone. This is David Bitton, CEO here at PracticePanther. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today. We are super excited to have Lisa Hendrickson on the line with us. She's going to tell everyone about 15 practical tips for using Microsoft Outlook in your law practice. So, Lisa, first off, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Oh, my pleasure. So just so everyone knows, Lisa, we're so excited to have her. She is an internationally recognized Microsoft Outlook expert and supports small business clients and law firms around the world. Lisa has over 20 years of supporting email and Outlook-related application experience in the corporate world, and she's also authored 6 ebooks creating hundreds of training videos, podcasts, and guides. That is a seriously impressive resume. So Lisa, I'm going to pull up your screen now. If you tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got started in this industry.
Sure. Well, I got started in the early 90s when AOL started having a lot of email.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the old days. And what excited me was it was an unknown, and I had a bunch of friends that were like, get a computer so we can email. And I was like, why? Why don't you just call me? Well, I ended up going to college late in life, and when I got to the college, there was a computer lab, and I was in after that. I spent all my free time in the lab learning the internet, email, and it kind of goes from there. I've always been in the email world, either training or troubleshooting. I really like troubleshooting more than training, to be honest, but I do a lot of training with each client. So through, I don't know, the last 20 so years, I've worked with many different programs, and just in the past few years, I found there's a need for a Microsoft Outlook expert, so I've been marketing myself that way, and that's really helped me get the word out more, and I work in different industries now, and I do a lot of work with law firms.
Wow, so you built a pretty awesome business. So let me ask you, when someone like a law firm is contacting you for some advice or consulting, it's you doing the work for them. You're not giving it to someone else.
No, it's 100% me. I'm the only employee here. And what I am is, you know, kind of when people look for a consultant, they expect expert level. So I use the word expert because I know how to do preventative work, like backing up data first. I tell clients, this is what you should do, but it's your choice if you want to do it your way, but here's what can happen. And I really put in the time to train them with the problems they're having at the time. Now, I'll let you know that a lot of law firms that call me, sometimes they have an IT department or a managed service company, but their technical issue might be too much for that company to handle, so they come and find me because lawyers like to use experts. So that's why I use the word expert. And then their IT company is usually very happy they found me because they don't want to do the Outlook work anyway. So I partner with the IT company, and we're friends. And then the client, you know, it's usually a partner or, you know, someone at the ownership level because they have a lot of things that's really important in their Outlook and they need it working.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So let's tell us what's on the agenda today.
Well, some of the things we're going to cover is just how to prevent some of the issues before they can happen. A lot of people think that Outlook is just a program that just works. Well, if you put too much into it, like email or third-party apps or other things, it can break, and it can break really bad. And the biggest cause is usually email overload because everybody wants to have every single email they've ever sent or received. And that's okay, but you have to learn to manage the load. You know, so Outlook can only handle so much. So I try to help clients with managing and, you know, using their Outlook PST files so they can still search but not use it on their server. And then I try to teach people how to maybe move to Exchange so they can use the robustness of the calendar and contact syncing. And we'll talk about that in the webinar today, later on.
Awesome. I got to tell you, I used to also have a computer repair company like yourself, and one of the biggest issues that I was constantly getting calls for was my Outlook was corrupted, my PST file was corrupted, and also my emails. Help me out. Like, people had no systems of backing up their emails. So I know that you're going to talk about this later on today, but it's so important. If you're using Outlook, you have to be backing up your things constantly, and you have to always be updated with the latest technology, correct?
Yeah, well, that's actually the first thing we're going to talk about is backing up, because that to me is the #1 thing I do before we even do work on your Outlook if I feel I need to back it up. And I will tell you that a lot of people don't understand this about Outlook, but it's actually a program that runs many databases in the back end. You know, if you're getting email that comes down and it does something, it's a working program. So it's not like Microsoft Word that just opens, you type and save it. Outlook is very robust. And if you happen to have a lot of things going on with it, it can glitch up and then crash and then you don't know why. So I tell folks, you know, it's better to have an IT person available quickly if you don't want downtime.
Yep. Yep. I definitely agree.
Yep.
So that's something you also kind of offer. I think we spoke about that. You also do consulting. You can help set things up. But if they need an Outlook expert to come in and fix things, kind of like outsource IT support for Outlook, they can also call on you and do a support ticket, I think you said?
Yeah, most of my law firm clients buy a 4-hour or an 8-hour support ticket. And basically what you do is you can use me at a help desk level. I find that I created these because not every fix was, you know, an hour-long call. It was sometimes just 5-10 minutes. And the clients were so happy that I created a support system that they can email me or call in and get a quick fix done, and then they go on with their day. Something that was, you know, handicapping them from working, and that's why I like what I say is the help desk, you know, support ticket. And I think I sell them for $4.99 for 4 hours and $8.99 for 8 hours. Very affordable.
Wow, that is super affordable. I mean, for me, I was no Outlook expert, and I was charging $125 an hour, and it would take me a lot longer to solve an issue than I'm sure it takes you. You've seen this all day, the same things over and over, so I'm sure it takes you really fast.
Yeah, and I think that there's some industries that people need to have a reference, a resource, you know, because I don't do accounting, so I have an accountant. So I don't have to deal with learning QuickBooks and all that stuff, you know, and I think that some things people need to understand is Outlook is a pretty serious program if it's their bread and butter for the company for communications and calendaring.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, so we are going to start it off with a poll. All right, so we want everyone to switch to the screen and go to webinar, and we're going to start off with a poll. How much time do you spend on email every day? So we'll give a few seconds for everyone to answer. I will tell you, Lisa, well, the options are less than 1 hour a day, 1 to 2 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, or all day. I'll be very honest, I'm one of those people who is on email all day. Are you the same?
Oh, I'm all day for sure. And a lot of people, like, well, especially with the work I'm in, I get emails that people want to book appointments and they've got questions. So the faster I respond, the better I look to my clients because they're like, wow, she's responsive. Yes, I'm responsive. I just don't sit on emails and make a decision. What should I do with this? I think a lot of people, that's what they do is they look at an email 10 times and they're like, I still don't know how to react to it.
Yeah.
I react now and I move it.
I think in our generation, people are just so used to instant. I want my Amazon Now order right now in 1 hour. I want my response right now. It's crazy. Someone sends you an email at 9 a.m. They're following up with you at 4 p.m. Like, hey, did you get my email? You're like, okay, man, it's been only a few hours. But that's how it is today.
Well, let me just give you a tip while people are doing the poll, is that if I send someone an email requesting to work with them on a project or something that hasn't, you know, where they're not hiring me, but I want to work with them, they don't reply to me same day, I'm done. Because I know they're not responsive enough to want to partner to make money or to do some marketing together. And also they don't know how to manage their email. And that's the kind of stuff that bothers me immensely.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah. I mean, even if you get an email that says, hey, Lisa, I want to work with you on a project, why couldn't you say, sure, I'm busy today, but let's get together on Thursday? That takes 10 seconds to reply and to make that action. And it shows you're responsive. And I think that since we're all overwhelmed with email right now, people are like, oh, I just don't know how to even start. Well, you have to learn how to manage it to get on your game.
I agree. I think a big issue, what I read in a lot of productivity books, is they said that just getting things done. Get it done right now. Don't move on until you get it done. So a lot of people will read an email and be like, oh, I'll get back to you later. Then they have to reread the whole email again. You read it once, you take care of it, you move on with your life. That's what I think, at least.
Well, I actually have some YouTube videos that I offer for free if you want to put that in the links of the webinar link.
Sure.
I have 9 videos that I've created on how to learn Outlook 2013 and 16. The number 9 video is email management tips. And this is what I spoke at in Chicago when I met you folks at the ABA Tech Show. Is 1 hour I talked to everybody on how to manage their inbox. And I've kind of made 2 different levels. One is the quick version, which is 15 minutes on the YouTube video, or you can actually go to the extended and get personal training with me and learn it and spend the money. Then you really know how to do it because I'm watching you. You're like, I'm helping you and learn it. If you go over to my playlist there.
Yep.
Right
You have
there.
an awesome page. I love the header. I love everything. You got all right, so playlist. Let's see. I'm going to watch all these. So which one am I looking at?
And then go to the free Microsoft Outlook 13 training videos on the bottom there. And
nice.
Oh, yeah. Those are all free. And the bottom one is email management tips. That one there is the gold. Basically what I do is I go really fast, but so you might have to watch it a couple times, but you are going to learn how to keep your inbox really clean, really managed, and organized without using any third-party apps like those other products that you
I need this.
Learn formulations, none of that. It's just simple stuff. And I'll tell you this, Dave, that I cannot tell you how many of my clients have asked this. On a weekend when you're at your kid's baseball game, you might read an email 10 times before you know what to do with it. My training will teach you how to react to it now and get it off your inbox, so on Monday when you get back to work, you can actually do something with it.
Oh,
so it's off your brain. So it's off your brain. So like, you don't have to look at it again on Sunday while you're cooking dinner, bored. You know, people are so bored now. They look at their phones all day long.
Yeah, I know.
Get rid of the work so you can enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And so for everyone watching, you can go to youtube.com/user/CallThatGirl. I wonder if you can do it without the user. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got this.
You can. Yeah, so youtube.com/CallThatGirl. And you'll see all of Lisa's videos there. Wow, this is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's see how much time people spend on email. So it looks like majority are in the 2 to 4 hour, 4 to 6 hour, with 20% all day, just like us. So I mean, people are on email all day. If they have a better way to optimize their time, I think it would save everyone a lot of hours a day.
Well, I think that people that are all dayers are probably the people at their desk all day. The people that are the 2 to 4 hours probably have to go on site, or they have to leave, go to court, and they're like only doing email on their phone because they're in court so many hours a day. But honestly, you know, it depends on what you do for work. All day people are at their desk all day, and they check their email all day long.
Yep.
That's part of their work.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's see the first tip. I'm so excited. The first tip. All right, so tell us about this one.
Okay. Well, this tip number one here is about backing up. So a lot of people use POP email. POP is a one-way download to your Outlook, and you can keep a copy of email on the server or not, but that's never a guarantee. So the POP will be put into, your POP email will be put into an Outlook PST file, and you can back that up. With newer computers in Outlook, that file is typically in your My Documents folder in the Outlook Files folder. Basic online backup programs will pick that up, okay? The other place that these files can hide sometimes with the older versions of Outlook is in a hidden folder called App Data. So if you're not backing up your data, you need to tell your IT person to make sure that that App Data folder is backed up too, because that is where Outlook sometimes puts data and people don't know it. So those are the two places you want to make sure you back up. And also, if you're using IMAP or Exchange with the newer versions of Outlook, those files are kept in what's called an OST file, an offline sync tool, which means it's just a PST file that's not hard-coded. It's just like a shadow copy. And those files, I will tell you, you should back those up even if your IT person says you don't have to. You tell your IT person you want them backed up, because I just fixed a problem yesterday that cost this guy a lot of time and money because he wasn't backing that up, and it was all messed up in Outlook. So that is in the App Data folder. I think it's called Local Microsoft Outlook, and in that folder there's a ton of files. So make sure that gets backed up. Those can be repaired if something bad happens, but at least you have a backup. Yep.
You know, I find it so crazy, like how difficult Microsoft Outlook makes it to back up your files. Like, I'm so surprised they haven't come out with like an auto backup in the cloud with Outlook for $5 a month. Why haven't they done that?
Because they're working on making Outlook more complicated. See, every version of Outlook, they make it harder and harder for people. I have to keep up with all of these changes, and that makes me have to learn more, so I become more expensive, Dave. It really is how the world works with this. But so there's two ways that people mostly back up. They do an online backup, or they do an external hard drive backup. Now, if you're going to do an external hard drive backup, there's two options. you can do, like the Windows that'll grab everything. Like Windows Backup will grab it all. It should do those OST files. If you're not sure, hire an IT professional to make sure those files get backed up if you're using external. If you're using the software from the company, like like Western Digital, whatever, make sure that those files are getting backed up. The best product out there that I know of is one that does a full image of your computer. So if something bad happens, your whole computer can be set back to how it was, and that is like the best of all. That's a holy grail.
Yeah, the best, but super time consuming. I think Apple has like a much easier version of it called the Time Machine. Is that what it is? Yeah,
if
they
people
make it easy.
set it up, I mean, a lot of people don't set it up. They have it, but they don't use it. See, the thing is, people don't treat their data like their business is gold. They're like, I haven't backed up in a while. I'm like, why not? What would happen if your computer got struck by lightning right now? Then you are really in for it, because data recovery is very expensive. It is very expensive.
I think it becomes a priority only when they've gotten screwed so badly and they spend thousands. Are like, oh my God, I could have been paying Dropbox $10 a month. Like, what am I doing? It's funny. Yeah, I know. I myself am a victim many times. Yeah, so just for everyone watching, so it's really complicated to find this file. It's basically your C drive, if you're on a PC, users, your name, or your computer name, app data, local, this is crazy, Microsoft, Outlook, and there it is. This is crazy.
And that little file there, Joe, and Joe Schmo, that little file there, I'll show you a tip on the very far right where the size is. If you see an OST file with 16,424, that's just like a little tidbit file that doesn't have any data in it.
Yeah, this is nothing. Yeah, usually it's like 10, 20 gigs from what I've seen.
Well, most people that have heavy amounts of email, which we're going to talk about next, they've got huge files, which is very common, so don't feel like you're a hoarder. Okay, so the next tip is make sure you don't have 10,000 emails on your server. A lot of people don't go check their server size, and the problem with server size is that you might break it one day and realize I've got 10,000 emails on the server that I have to re-download when Lisa comes to fix it, and that can take a whole day downloading that email. And then we have to go clean that mess up too. This is why I tell folks, be preventative. Everything's working great right now, it doesn't hurt to schedule an appointment to just do a spot check, to be like, okay, just what if something bad happened? How bad am I in? What kind of situation am I in right now? Yep.
I'll tell you what I do, Lisa. So what I actually do is I use Dropbox and also BoxSync, and I have my entire computer backed up live with Dropbox. If I use Outlook, that's the PST file. If I work on documents, my desktop, my pictures, music, videos, everything. It's just easy. I don't need to worry. You can literally throw my computer out tomorrow in the pool, and I won't care because everything's backed up. So I think that it's so simple. People can set this up, and if they have an expert like you, it can take them just minutes.
Let me tell you what I think about Dropbox and OneDrive and all these sync tools. To me, those are not legitimate backup programs. Those are actually file sharing programs. The difference between that is, those really bad viruses called CryptoLocker and stuff like that?
Of course.
I had a client who had all of his Dropbox files encrypted with that.
Oh.
And it only did the Dropbox. So that's why.
And they hold it ransom, right? You have to pay to get it encrypted? Yeah.
And him and I had to go through and do all the versioning restores for thousands of folders. So that's why I tell folks, you know what? Spend the $100 a year. Get an online backup program that'll back up that Dropbox too. Then you're double backed up. So like if something really bad happens and you get a CryptoLocker virus, you can call, I have a guy that does it for $100 a year. You can call my guy or whoever and say, you know what, I got a really bad virus, let's back it all up to a new hard drive and you're good to go. Then you don't have to worry about paying the fee and the ransom because you had a backup.
So do you prefer programs like Carbonite, which backs up your whole computer?
You know what, those off-the-shelf ones I don't really care for because they snag up with Outlook, and here's why. If your Outlook's open when it's trying to do a backup, it won't back up that file until you close it. So what I do is I work with a managed service company that does my computer because this program will back up no matter what. And a lot of people, I pay $100 a year. That's nothing.
It's nothing.
Nothing. So if you pay $100 a year, you get a full good backup. Then it does the incremental changes. You're fine. And my guy just did a test yesterday on a restore on my desktop just to make sure. I mean, he restored a picture that I had on there. I was like, good, it's working, you know. So, safety.
Yeah.
And
So
plus my guy did that test at no charge because I was just like, hey, can you check my backup? You know?
wow.
Him. Yeah.
$100 a year is a small price to pay for freedom and peace of mind. So I love your next tip because I definitely only use IMAP here. We only recommend IMAP. So tell us kind of why people should be using IMAP instead of POP.
Well, I'm actually on tip number 1 still. So I'm going to go back to tip number 1 continued. Dave, can you go back a second?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's okay.
Here we go.
I'll just go through this quickly. So just to recap, OneDrive.
There you go.
I'm going to tell you folks a couple things about OneDrive that a lot of people don't know is that if you get a brand new Windows computer and you sign up with a Microsoft account, it's very possible that OneDrive is going to be your default save location for your Word and all that other stuff. And a lot of lawyers, I've seen this and I'm like, do you know your OneDrive is your default? And they're like, no. And I'm like, so you're putting it up on the cloud and Microsoft literally has a copy of your data that's private.
Yep.
So you need to get that disconnected pronto. So I tell folks to call their IT guy and say, remap all my default stuff and get rid of that OneDrive unless you actually want to use it. Some firms do use it. It's up to them. But again, I don't recommend it for a backup. I recommend it for file sharing only. And also, do not put your Outlook PST files in OneDrive because OneDrive is a continually syncing program. Your Outlook is as well, and you will have a corrupted PST or OST file. I guarantee it.
Wow. So I have a question for you, just randomly, a little off topic. So your clients are all over the world, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah.
So when someone needs help with like setting things up, you're pretty much just remoting into their computer and taking care of it remotely.
Well, I have an online scheduler. So if you go to my website, you can show it if you want to.
What is it?
CallThatGirl.biz.
CallThatGirl.biz?
Yep. So I actually work by appointments, and I'm very thorough with my appointment times, and I'm very respectable of people's time. So when you book an appointment with me, you will be called at the appointment time. And if I have to be late, I always let folks know. But click on the contact us, now schedule. So people can pick their own time zone. And I work with people in Australia, the UK, and they can find, well, hold on. Go to that bit.ly link. I want you to see the scheduler.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So the scheduler, now this is how I work as a professional. There it is. So you can go and pick the troubleshooting one, let's say, the third one down. There you go.
So that's everyone done? Okay, cool.
So if you were to pick that.
It's so easy.
Yeah, when I'm in my time zone where I'm available, I always schedule a 1-hour appointment first, and then, you know, it gives you an appointment thing on your calendar. It matches mine. You can schedule, you can reschedule, you can cancel all through the program. And this program has saved me thousands of hours of figuring out stuff with clients because I never know what time zone they're in.
Wow, this is so easy. This is vcita.com. Cool, I'll have to look into this.
Yeah, it's a really good program. Mm-hmm.
Very nice website as well. All right, are we ready for tip number 2?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. By the way, Lisa, where are you located? Where do you live?
Oh, I live in Las Vegas.
Wow, good life.
Sin City.
Yeah. Okay, so tip number 2, IMAP. So first, before we talk about IMAP, do you recommend IMAP over POP generally?
Well, here's the thing, is that POP is actually still a safe bet, but IMAP lately has been causing a lot of problems with Outlook because it's so, people have too much email and it continually synchronizes, so I do a lot of IMAP repairs. So when people call me and I say you're on IMAP, I ask if they are the owner of the company and if they want to move to Exchange, because to move to Exchange is about the same labor cost as me fixing that IMAP, and Exchange is just more solid and doesn't break as much with a lot of email. So I'd probably have to say about half my clients move to Exchange because then you get the robust server and it can handle a lot of mail because it doesn't synchronize. See, it doesn't need to, it's there.
Explain to everyone what Exchange is exactly. It's an online cloud service. You have to have your own server. It's powered by Microsoft.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, you used to have an on-premise server, and a lot of law firms that are listening now are like, "Yep, we had an on-site server that no one liked taking care of and managing."
Yeah.
In the past few years, Microsoft has upped the game. They used to have what's called hosted exchange, which a company could have their own hosted exchange server, and they sold that service, which a lot of you still might be on. Well, Microsoft was like, well, now we're going to do this better, and they've actually created a more robust exchange online. It's sometimes sold as essentials with their Office 365. It's like $5 a month for each mailbox, but you get your own server per se, and you can use out of office replies. You can use the inbox will sync with your phone, your email, your contacts, your calendar, your notes, reminders. Everything synchronizes. So if you got multiple computers, a phone, an iPad, everything syncs, and it's really how business is done now because it's so affordable.
Right.
Yep.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah,
got it. Yeah, I see a lot of attorneys using Exchange. I mean, it's just like, it seems like it's bulletproof. It's always good. It's always reliable. It's always online, right?
Yeah, and it really, if it breaks, and people, even my Exchange clients buy prepaid tickets, and here's why. Because they always have something else going with their Exchange account, like some family iCloud or, Google Calendar from another, family thing they do.
Right.
They have more going on, and Outlook will break. And Teams especially need me because there's always like some admin change or something they need done, or they want to learn something. But
Right.
Exchange really gives a team a more robust, because you can share calendars and contacts and assign each other tasks and check. You can have a company calendar that says like, Susie's off this day and so-and-so's out, just to keep
Got it.
smoother. Yeah.
Got it. So when you say this tip number 2, if your calendar and contacts say this computer only, what does that mean exactly? I don't know if I've seen that before.
Yep. So I'll look 2013 and 16. So here's what happened. I found out many years ago. When you set up a brand new Outlook account with an IMAP, it does not create a PST file like it used to. And the PST file used to be the default for contacts and calendars. It's no longer the case. Now it's actually, if you just start Outlook fresh with an IMAP and start using that calendar, you're probably going to have a this computer only one, and that is very unsafe to have, because if something happened to your Outlook and that profile got deleted, everything in your database would be gone.
Wow.
So, and the OST file that it sits in is really unstable, because that can be deleted really quick too. So I recommend folks to go check their calendar and contacts. If it says this computer only, you should try to export that at least once a week. I have a video on YouTube on how to do that if you want to learn it yourself. It's just really unsafe. I helped a guy yesterday with that same situation. Everything was gone. Yep.
Oh, so you've mentioned OST files and PST files. What are the differences between the two?
A PST file is a personal storage that actually can be imported and exported out of Outlook. And if you have like an IMAP account and you need to export that, it exports to a PST file, which is like a solid structure that you can import and export and open in Outlook. An OST file that an Exchange account makes in an IMAP, you cannot import that into Outlook at all. The only way to is to repair it to a PST file.
Ooh,
it's really a scary file, I'll be honest. I do a lot of work with those, and I'll tell you that before I do any work with people's Outlook, I say to them, we're going to take 10 minutes here and let me back this up. And they're like, really? And I said, you'll thank me later. If something bad happens, I can at least go get your data here. And something bad can happen because it's technology.
Yeah. Anything can happen. So tip number 3 I'm quite excited about, because I see a lot of people overcomplicating things. So how do you declutter Outlook?
Well, the first thing is I tell folks is that they sometimes have too many things going, too many tasks that they don't pay attention to. They put too many of their tasks on their calendars, which to me, my calendar is my billable hours. So I don't use my calendar for like take out the garbage and go visit grandma and stuff like that.
Right.
I keep that in a separate area, and to be honest with you, since I have an iPhone, I put everything in my notes area because that syncs with my iPhone.
Right.
But a lot of people use too many categories, flags, things like that, and it just gets really cumbersome, and they get confused, and then they have too much going on, So.
And they end up not doing anything actually at the end of the day.
Yeah, and then they're actually like going home every night feeling overwhelmed.
Yep. Not accomplished. Yeah, I've had that feeling many times. Okay, so tip number, so I guess just to summarize this, so what categories would you recommend? Just two, like family, business, or
Well,
personal
actually,
business?
if you don't know how to even run categories, I wouldn't even start. People people that run categories actually have them for special purposes of like managing groups of people, and they usually use it in their contacts. So their contacts, they might have 5,000 contacts, and they've got a category that they put every person in. Now that's a different management system than using a category or flag in your email.
Okay.
Yeah, those are contact folks that really have good managed contacts. Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. Tip number 4: have all your user accounts, passwords. Oh yeah, this is a big one. Tell us about this one.
Yes. Well, every time I help somebody, I send them a little helpful tips thing before our appointment that says have all of your user accounts and passwords ready. Not only for an emergency, but because I am the most expensive password resetter in the world. So I will tell you, if we have to spend a half hour getting into your Gmail account, that's half your hourly rate that you just paid me, and I charge for that. So I try to tell folks, spend the time before your appointment and even do a spot check. Who runs your website? Who do you pay your website for? What are those accounts? Where is your email hosted? Have that information. If you are the owner of the business, make sure you know all the passwords of your employees. Because if you have to fire one, you want to go get their email before they destroy it if they leave unhappy.
Yep.
I mean, you think of everything as an exit strategy. Your best employee can walk out, and where's your stuff?
Yep.
You know?
I agree. You know, it's so funny. We have like a very deep email integration with PracticePanther, so you can integrate like Exchange or Gmail or AOL or whatever, pretty much anything you use. And the funniest thing is, they're always like, it doesn't work, it's your fault. And we're like, no, it's probably your password. No, I know it. I'm like, all right, go to Gmail, try your password. Uh-oh, I don't know my password. And it's so crazy how many people don't know their passwords. Well,
the other thing is that, there's a lot of Gmail security issues now. You have to have two-step authentication on.
Yep.
Now even due to another device thing, they have this new thing called app password. So if you even want to go to the next level, you can't set up Outlook without a special password. Now, luckily,
I have that.
Yeah, I've set up enough Outlooks to have those links really quick, so I can troubleshoot that really fast. But I'll tell you that the first client I had that happened to was not so lucky. It took us a long time to figure that out because I have to troubleshoot as calls come in, It's a lot of work understanding. I know it all for AOL, Yahoo, all these big companies. I have all the shortcut links now, so I'm ready.
So let me ask you, do you have a special way that you recommend saving these passwords? Like obviously like a notepad and pen probably isn't best. Maybe it is best, I don't know. Or using like a password saver, anything like that?
Well, everybody has their own little thing. I've seen a lot of clients that have Excel files just full of their passwords. Some use Word documents. I happen to use Notepad on my computer because I am in so many. I've got like 300 or 400 passwords, and I'm not even kidding you. I have a lot.
Wow.
So I keep it in a notepad that I always keep sticky in my notepad. But I'm just going to tell you that this stuff like LastPass and all these, robo forms, if you like them, they're great. They're secure, right? But I'm going to tell you that I had a really bad experience once happen, and I'm never going to relive it. I will never use an online saving program again.
They forgot their LastPass master password and they couldn't get back in?
No, one of my employees must have got it and set it up on her home computer and was checking in and logging in my stuff.
Oh my God.
That can happen. Your trusted employee decides to go in and start being sneaky and checking your stuff at home. And I found out because I found her internet provider, which was a very small town, showing the logins. So, that's the other thing is go check the logins, because if somebody got it, how would you know? Because they didn't get a flag for it. Yeah,
you'd have no idea. Scary. Yeah, if you're using one of those.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're using like LastPass, I think you should have obviously like probably separate accounts for each person where you're not sharing your passwords, but it's hard to remember all these things.
Well, I'll tell you what's worse is when I'm trying to help somebody, they'll go, oh, it's right here in my RoboForm. Well, guess what? Outlook doesn't like RoboForm.
No,
so I always have to have them disable RoboForm, and then they're like, well, now I can't see stuff. I go, yep, now you have to go online. This is why I told you to have your passwords ready, because now we're messing around with your RoboForm, which I hate, because then I have to see more of their passwords. I'll tell you, I see a lot of data, David. I see a lot. And I don't really
Yeah.
care. I know people's passwords and I know all their stuff, but I don't really want to see everything all the time, but I have to.
Right. I know what you mean. I used to do the same when I was fixing computers. So, and this tip is also really important because I had this conversation with you where back in the day when I was doing this computer repair company 10 years ago, it was always crashing out. But you told me that the more newer, updated versions of Outlook don't have that problem with large PST files getting corrupted.
Well, here's the good news is that you put on your screen there, Windows 10, Outlook 2016, and a solid-state hard drive are your best 3 things you can have if you love a lot of email. Because I'll tell you that still people push the limit, but 2016 or 13 in Outlook can hold a lot. Windows 10 is fast, and a solid-state hard drive is fastest to make that whiz, okay?
Yep.
So if you're going out to get a new computer, get new updated software, get a solid-state hard drive. Folks that are on 2010 generally have Windows 7, and they might have Windows 10, but Outlook 2010 still breaks the most, okay? It's not as fast, it's not as good as the new ones, and I will say that I tell people to upgrade often. But a lot of people have the volume license, so they still want to use it because they don't have to pay for it.
So that was my question. If someone's considering listening in right now, be like, oh man, I'm in 2010, how much of a pain is it migrating over? It would just be like 2 hours of work. It depends how much stuff they have.
No, if you have Windows 10, an upgrade you have to purchase the subscription now. And let me tell you, there's 2 parts. You can either buy a standalone or you can buy it with the business premium package, which includes the exchange. So we're not going to get into that. But
right.
it depends on your internet how fast it is because it streams down from the internet now. I mean, if you got a fast internet and a solid-state hard drive, that can be installed in 5 minutes, and then you got to remove 2010.
Wow.
That actually takes longer. Yeah.
Okay. So you also mentioned, I see here, like Windows. I know we have a lot of Mac fanatics probably listening in. So do you also like Outlook for Mac? It also works just as well?
Yeah. Well, the good news is the Outlook 2016 works with, it works pretty good, especially with Exchange. But I'm going to let you know that, remember, the Mac Outlook is a kind of a band-aided program.
Right.
It's kind of like Outlook for the PC, but not really. So you do have limitations on what you can do. And the biggest limitations I see are people with their contacts. That's always a hurdle. And people that are listening are like, yep, I always have contact problems. So it's really common. Their database is just not the same. So I've actually had to do work on a Mac and had to take it over to a PC to fix it. I have. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you also do both Mac and PC?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
well, you have to, I guess.
Yeah, I do quite a bit of work with the Macs, but most of the time the problems with that is email overload. So I end up helping people skim it down, clean it up. The program is easy to reinstall, but see, people think, why reinstalled it and it still don't work? Well, guess what? Reinstalling doesn't take away the problems because you still have a lot of email. You still have a third-party app that's broke. I mean, so don't reinstall if you have a problem. It might be bad for you.
Right,
but,
got it.
Yeah, and the 2011 Outlook on the Mac still works fine, and I like it with Exchange. But if you want the, little more up-to-date Outlook, then you can upgrade.
Wow, it's actually scary how much knowledge you have about Outlook and every version and every device. It's crazy.
Oh my God, I could go on for hours. I've got.
I know. All right, what's tip number 6 here? We're getting into calendars now. It looks like.
Okay, so a lot of folks that, let's just say, that don't have Exchange, they're like, well, I use iCloud, and I have a Google Calendar, and they've got a third-party app, and they've got all these things. They use Code 2 maybe, and all these programs. I always say, if you have a business, just use Exchange, because if you love Outlook, and you have an iPhone especially, you're going to love Exchange. iCloud breaks all the time. And the reason why it breaks is because of 3 reasons. Your Windows might have an update, Outlook might have an update, and iCloud might have an update. It's the same thing that goes for iTunes. Any third-party app you use can break. Exchange doesn't have an update. If it updates, it's from the server level, and it really doesn't break your Outlook. So third-party apps always break. So I say go to Exchange, get off the band-aided stuff, and I will tell you, I had a lawyer the other day, I said, well, here's your Band-Aid options. And immediately he was like, I want the what will work option. So if you're using the Band-Aids, that's the reason why. They're not the good ones.
Got it, got it. And speaking on Exchange, so we love Exchange at PracticePanther, and we actually built an Exchange integration because everyone was asking for it. So the biggest thing, I guess, with using another software like a case management software, the goal is to reduce duplicate data entry, at least for us and for them. So for us, we don't want them adding the same contact in PracticePanther and the same one in Exchange.
Yep.
So the cool thing is that they only have to add their contacts and their clients now in PracticePanther, and then it will automatically push those contacts to Exchange, which will show up in Outlook, making it really easy to compose an email and email your clients.
Yep. And that's why you have to have Exchange, because it just works well with other companies like yourself.
I'll tell you, we pretty much never have issues with Exchange. It's great. And the cool thing is that when they're composing an email to a client in Outlook, they'll also have automatically a special email PracticePanther email address for that client. So when they email that client, they see that email, and that email goes back into PracticePanther so everyone can see the email you're working on if you want them to see it. And you could also do conflict search and conflict checks. So it is pretty cool. You can do all these integrations these days to make your life a lot easier.
Nice.
Yep. So let's see, tip number 7. If you hire someone new and they don't know Outlook, they should have training. Wow. So you're pretty much saying here, I'm guessing that a lot of firms will bring on a new paralegal or attorney or secretary, and they have no idea how to use Outlook, and they just throw them in the fire?
Well, let's look at our employees from the past, let's say 6 years, okay? They're millennials. They've been through the new school. They don't know desktop apps. They've never sat at a desk. You have somebody that's worked off a phone for the past 7. The reason why I say 6 years is because of the smartphone era. And if people sit down at the desk and they don't know how to open up Word, they need to be trained, because all they know is the apps and their quick stuff. A lot of them also, the millennials have had Macintoshes, so they're totally different. Most firms I work with all use PCs. They got desktop apps. So I highly recommend, if you get someone new, just to be like, how experienced are you with these programs? And if they're like, I've never worked with it, well, then you can use my Outlook training videos. It's perfect. And those are free.
Right.
They can go watch them and spend an hour and then learn Outlook a lot better. And then at least they can, get their feet wet with it, because a lot of people do not know. Millennials do not know what Outlook is.
Yeah.
The desktop. And you're hiring these people now because they're getting out of college. So, and I tell them that the more, the more they know Outlook, it's your main business application. They can be more productive.
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. A lot of people don't use Outlook. It's all Gmail these days, gmail.com or on their phone. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's a good idea, actually, for everyone listening. I think we'll do it also. If you have a new employee, make them watch a few, training videos from Lisa, for example, of how to use the new software they're using. So we're going to run our last poll for the day. How many emails do you typically have in your inbox on a given day? Now, the options are 1 to 25 emails, 25 to 75 emails, 75 to 125, or 125 plus. So this question isn't how many new emails you get a day, it's how many you have in your inbox right now. And my guess is majority will say 125 plus, correct?
Well, here's what actually, after this question was posed, I had to think about it. I'm going to guess that a partner or somebody in the top level of the business probably gets the 125, because they do so much more, like with interaction, networking, connecting and stuff. And I would have to say probably a regular business, 9 to 5 person gets probably 40 to 50 for their own work. But then you got to include all the CCs they get from the bosses and all the, can you do this and that for me? And
right.
Probably more. Me personally, I think I'm down to about 75 a day now, because I've really lowered my, because it's just me. I've really slowed down on social media stuff, so I'm not getting all these, tons of requests for free stuff. That's what you do with social media. Is people are like, hey, can you tell me how to do that real quick? Because they work on social media, they think I'm a free answering service.
Yeah, no problem. Click here to view my calendar. I'll tell you exactly how to do it.
Well, I'll tell you that I've learned to partner with guys like you, because then I can, actually get to the market, and I don't have to deal with 1,000 people on LinkedIn asking me free questions.
Yeah. All right, let's see the results. So, you were 100% right. Yeah, so I guess a lot of people listening in are probably maybe not senior partners, so they're getting they have 25 to 75, but we do have some, obviously, people with a lot of emails in their inbox, 125 plus. I try to keep mine under 25 emails at any given time, and I mean, inbox zero is obviously the goal, but I think it's so hard to get to that level these days.
No, actually, I only have like 1 or 2 emails in my inbox because I manage it so well.
I'm jealous.
It's possible, but I mean, you got to learn to get a wrangle on it, you know?
Right. So when you get 100 emails a day, what is your system? My system is I will either reply to it and then snooze it to come back at a later time if I need it, or I will delete it, or I will archive it if I need to find it later on. Is that a typical good system?
Well, my inbox is usually new requests for appointments, which I have the automatic scheduler, so I just need to accept it. Or it might be a client asking me something that it's a past client I work with, a prepaid client. They might have a question. I answer it right away. I do have a client in progress folder, so if someone emails a request in through my email, and I email them back and say, hey, yes, I can help. Here's my fees, da-da-da. I put it in a client progress folder, but honestly, I don't even do follow-ups anymore, so I don't know why I even put it there. It's a pointless folder now because you have my information. You will call me when you're ready. I don't do follow-up callbacks and stuff like that because I'm an email helper, you know. They don't want extra emails. They know where I am. So I think it's up to each person to decide what kind of emails are you getting, sort them into types. You know, every person gets different types of emails. You know, maybe you're getting CC'd on too much clutter, and you're like, tell your assistant, don't CC me anymore. You manage my calendar for me. That's why I'm paying you. I don't need to be CC'd on so much stuff. You know.
Got it. So you're using a lot of labels. Like the next tip here is this about labels?
Labels is Gmail. That's a dirty word with Outlook.
Oh, folders. Sorry. Folders?
We don't have labels in Outlook.
Oh,
okay,
my bad. Yeah.
Excuse me. So here's the thing about that email management training video is I hate it when I have to email somebody and say, did you get my email? And you know what they always say? A big fat lie. Yep, I got it. Or no, I didn't get it. And then the no, I didn't get it, you know they got it.
Yep.
I love that question. I don't want to reply back. So my favorite one is, no, I didn't get it. Can you resend it? And I'm like, really? Now I have to go through my sent items to go find it for you because you opted to not pay attention to it. And then at that point, you're kind of like, do I really need to do business with this person if they're not replying back to me and I wasn't a priority to them? See, that's why. I'll tell you
what I think it is. So I think this used to happen to me also. You get 100 emails a day, and what you're typically doing, which is the biggest time waster, you'll just quickly scan. Maybe you'll leave the ones that you want to get back to unread, and you know you're just looking at the same emails over and over and over on page one. Well, this is at least in Gmail. And then as soon as it goes below a certain page or a certain date, you just completely forget about those emails.
Yeah. I have a partner of a project I worked on that he was a Gmailer, and he did like 4 Gmail accounts out of 1. And I just gave up.
That's me.
I was like, really, man, you are doomed. Right, after page 1, it's off your today list, so why look at what happened yesterday?
Exactly.
You know, it's not important to today. And that's the thing is that's why when people, I teach in my videos, when people ask you, did you get my email, that's a big thing you need to listen to, that you're not responsive enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
All right, so let's see. So just to summarize this slide, so if they have a lot of emails and sent items, it will tend to break more often in Outlook?
Always. Well, I mean, the thing is that everybody wants to keep every single thing. So, you know, I do too, but I just happen to manage mine really good. I move out every few months. I move everything out of my sent and my deleted, so I don't have that issue. That takes 10, 15 minutes every quarter to do whatever. So it's better to be preventative and manage things than to have a break where you're down all day.
And how much do attachments affect this? I'm guessing attachments are a big part of breaking Outlook. You should be clearing up old attachments.
Well, because Outlook can send a 25 meg attachment now. I mean, people are like, hey, I'm going to go attach my entire photo album, you know, from our trip. You know, the thing is, Microsoft is trying to get people to send links to stuff. That's why they have SharePoint and OneDrive links. But guess what? You are never going to tell an attorney that they can't attach that file in Outlook. I will guarantee you that.
Yep.
Nobody wants to go to a link and get a link and then send it to somebody. Then that person has to go, oh, I have to click on a link now? Why couldn't I just open the PDF?
Right,
and that's what we're dealing with is old school versus new school. And I'm going to tell you that the majority of my clients are over 40 years old. So they are used to old school. And they do not want to do the fast hippie-hoppy stuff, you know. They want they want to open that attachment in their Outlook. They want to send one from their Outlook. They don't want a link. So yeah, the attachments are huge now, but guess what? That's just life. I mean, you have a choice.
Can you see all of your attachments according to the size of the attachment?
Yes, you can sort your inbox by attachments, and then you can actually do a special search in the search box for attachments that are big. I do that quite a bit with folks when I do cleanup. Yep.
Right.
Because I tell them,
going back in old emails and cleaning it up.
I say, let's get all these big attachments out into a folder called Big Attachments. And they laugh. I go, well, at least you know where they are now. They're called Big Attachments.
I do the same thing. Every few months I do the same thing, but I'm using Gmail. So let's see here. Tip number 9. Oh, this is an important one. I'll tell you, there's been a lot of emails I've missed. Slipped through the cracks because they somehow ended up in spam.
Yeah. Well, the spam folder, here's what people think. Well, so when they say, did you get my email? They always go, it must be in my spam. Well, guess what? My email that I sent you with the subject line of Hi David, and I maybe put a link in there for you to go check out something cool, that might get caught in your spam or junk filter, not by anything I did. And people try to blame me, the sender, for going into their spam or junk folder. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like sometimes my ticketing system, which I don't invoice very often, but when it does, they're like, well, it was in my junk, so I didn't see it. I'm like, well, there's money in your junk folder and your spam. You understand that you might have a client from a month ago that's like, hey, I want to retain your services, but they put some weird word in there, and that's sitting in your spam folder, and you'll never see it. Then they think you're not responsive, so then they don't want to hire you. So I tell people, spend the end of each business day, no matter what, clean out the spam, clean out the junk, make sure there's no missing money in there, or do it at lunchtime, halfway through, so at least you're halfway there, you know. But I teach people in my videos to check that folder every day.
Good idea. Let me ask you a random question off topic. If you have a desk computer in your office and a laptop at home, is there a way to synchronize your Outlooks on both computers?
Well, if you have IMAP or Exchange, that syncs email, but not with POP. But if you have an Exchange server and you have your home computer, everything will be synced when you get home. So that's how that works.
Okay, got it. So if you want that capabilities, you have to use IMAP or Exchange to sync across both devices.
Well, here's what the most of my clients really like is they have a desk computer at the office, they have an iPad or an iPhone, and then they have their home computer. When we set up Exchange on all 4 of those devices, I teach them how to move mail on their iPhone and iPad to a folder, so it's at the right folder when they go home or at the office. So it's
awesome.
Well, I mean, if you're sitting there waiting for, let's say you're waiting for court, right, and you're like, okay, I'm going to take care of these 3 emails, why keep them in the inbox? Move them out when you're done, then they're in the right folder when you get to your home computer.
Oh, genius. Yeah, I had no idea you could do that with an iPhone, honestly. So that's a big one.
Well, let me tell you, I talk about iPhone a lot because the majority of my Outlook users have iPhones. I don't know why, and most of my clients that have Outlook that use Gmail, then they have an Android. So it's kind of like this mentality. Yeah. It's Android versus iPhone.
Yeah. I think there's more iPhones in the world than I think more Androids in the world than iPhones, but iPhone obviously is one of the biggest. So let's see, tip number 10, use rules. Oh, I love rules. You know, it's funny. We always suggest using rules, and it shocks me how no one knows what rules are. I think it's a pretty basic feature, but I guess it's more advanced.
Well, here's the good part about rules and Exchange. I'm going to give you some tips. So a rule is like, let's say PracticePanther sends you an email, and you want to keep it, but you don't want it in your inbox because it's like a newsletter, okay?
Yep.
So I create rules to keep that non-money, I call it money, the non-money stuff in a folder that I can read later, okay? So I'll create a rule for things called, let's say, not money emails, just for example. So then you make a rule, and then every time you get an email from somebody you want in that rule, you just add it to your rule there, and then that will go automatically to a folder. It'll skip your inbox, but you got to remember, those also skip your inbox on your iPhone and iPad and Android. So then you don't have that clutter that you're going to look at. Well, you're probably like, well, I want you to read my clutter. But the point is that somebody during a business day needs to read that stuff more at night and on weekends, you know. So I try to teach people, save your newsletters and all your journals and articles and stuff for your off billable time. Because to me, I'm billable 9 to 5, you know. So anyway, with the rules with Exchange, you do have a limit of 50. So what I try to tell people is before you go and jack up all your rules, make sure that you think about maybe some core ones that could have many different types of emails in that one rule. So then you can get more money for your, get more bang for your buck, I guess. But the other tip is just remember, any rules you make will not hit your inbox on a smartphone with, if it's a server-based rule. So you might hear a ding and you're like, well, I don't have anything in my inbox. Well, it's because it went to a rule folder and the ding still happens on your phone.
Got it. So if it automatically goes to a folder, or if you select many emails and put them in a folder, that folder you'll probably see, I'm guessing, like a bold icon or a number indicating that you have emails you haven't read in those folders?
I don't think on the iPhone it gives you a number. I'm going to go look. No, on your Outlook it does, but not. Okay. But on the iPhone it doesn't give you like a new little one next to it saying you have a new one. You just have to go find it, and that can drive you crazy. But you know what? I'm so used to it now because I don't want to see some things on my phone.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Okay. So you go back to the computer at the end of the day and you take a look at it. So I don't know what Quick Steps is at all. So what's this?
Well, the quick step example there that you have is basically if you send out a constant canned message to people like I do, which mine is I have set up for my prepaid clients, they'll email me, say, Lisa, something's wrong. I say, yep, I can help. And then I have a word that is called please. When I start typing that, it actually fills in an auto canned message. That's what a quick step is. So if you're like, you know what, I'd love to help, but please contact my paralegal for that, and then they will take care of it, so that you can have a canned message that you can do in Outlook so you don't have to write it up every time. I try to think of a few that I use. It's mostly for scheduling appointments because I don't want to write it over and over 5 times a day. So the quick steps are awesome. What you would do is in Outlook, go to that create new that you see on that bar there, and you could, now hold on.
Well, you know what? Let me pull up Outlook.
That's an older version of Outlook he has.
Let me see. So I got this Outlook right here. So where would I go here?
I'll go open a new email.
A new email, okay.
And then go to options.
Options.
No, insert. Sorry, insert right there. Yeah. Okay. You know what? You don't have your Outlook optimized, honey.
No, not at all. I don't use Outlook. This is just for testing email campaigns, to be honest. Yeah, I don't use it at all.
Yeah.
So forget this.
That's the other thing I do is optimize Outlook, so all that weird stuff, your navigation bar back. But anyway, the picture there is showing an older version of Outlook, so it's kind of the same thing. No, actually, I feel really silly. Okay, there's quick parts and there's quick steps. I got them. I'm sorry. I'm going to step back here. A quick step is, see at the top there where it says team email, to do, to manager, home server?
Yes.
Okay, a quick step is in your email inbox, you can actually click on a button there and it'll move it to the folder quickly instead of you dragging it.
Got it.
For people, I'm really sorry, that's for people who have like a lot of folders and they got like their top 5 that they use the most. The quick steps, I use it actually all the time. It's faster than dragging it and looking for a folder, okay?
Got it. All right, so tip number 12 actually is quick parts. We actually have this.
This is quick parts. This is it, yeah. So this is your quick parts auto text. That's where you can fill in stuff and start typing, and then it'll just autofill it, yep.
I think this is probably the most important tip you've had. In my opinion, this is huge. Yeah,
I actually use a lot of quick parts for things, and I use the quick steps because here's one of my quick steps is client in progress. So if I email somebody back, I hit that quick part at the top, it moves it right there. I don't have to do it.
Wow, awesome. No, I love this tip. This tip is great. So let's see what we have here. When you have trouble with Outlook, be careful in Google Solutions. Oh my God, wow, yeah. It's so funny, When I used to fix computers, I used to have people say, I had this issue, then I tried this, and now I lost everything. I'm like, oh boy. Yeah. It happens.
Well, I'll tell you that if you're going to go out and Google your own repair, just remember that there's a lot of scammy forums out there. Yeah. And you might be like, well, I read what this guy said, and he said it worked. Well, first of all, did you back up your stuff before you went and tried that fix? Because that might break your Outlook worse. I mean, I'm a technician, so I know how to field through the junk out there. And trust me, I don't even Google when I work. But I might have to Google a specific error because the Microsoft errors are very specific, okay?
Yep.
even then, if you type in an exact error, there still might be pages of stuff with that error. So I need to go into the deep level. What operating system do you have? What version of Outlook? Are you using POP, Exchange, IMAP? And then I know how to fix things faster than you. So here's that kind of thing is when, the joke doctors say, please don't disregard my 20 years of medical experience with your Google search. That's how I try to tell people is, look, I'm $159 an hour, but what I can fix in 15 minutes will blow your mind.
Yep, I'm sure.
I'm fast because I do this all day. So if you don't know what you're doing, just be careful with Googling. Yep.
I'll tell you, this used to happen to me in the past, and it happened to customers in the past. And, even yesterday was a good example. Yesterday I had an issue with my SD memory card reader on my computer, so I Googled how to fix this SD memory card reader and this laptop, and there's so many articles online where it's like, oh, the one-click fix and download this free software. And, I know better, and all these websites and softwares that are on the top 10 in Google are all viruses, almost every single one of them. And it's the same with Outlook. If you're trying to fix something, it's going to be like, oh, repair your PST file, download the free program. If it's free, there's something going on. It's probably a virus, probably a hack, a very smart hacker with good SEO skills. You have to be so careful today.
Well, you know what? I'm pretty good with my SEO skills, but the thing is that I've had to do a lot of research in that too. That was not an overnight win, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. What's next? Tip number 14. What's this one about?
All right. So here's the thing is that you folks are, a law firm software company. So I don't know what your software really 100% does. So if a client is asking you what's your restoration policy, you should have it ready as like an FAQ. So if something bad happens, here's how we restore your data. You got to remember, like insurance companies, they have insurance for a reason. What if something bad happens? Well, guess what? What if your servers go down? What happens then? What happens is, so I just tell folks, do your diligence before you hire a software company or get on with their services. And I'm sure you guys have all that ready to go. Where's it, how's it, you don't need to know where and how the data is backed up, but what happens if you go down? How do we contact you? Call you, email, be prepared.
Right. Yeah, it's so important. A lot of our customers also ask us the same question every time, and it's great. We're backed up by Microsoft Azure, real time, second by second, in multiple servers, underground in the U.S., super secure. If there's ever any downtime, we send them, days in advance notices, so everyone knows what's going on. But I'll tell you the funny thing is we get a lot of requests like, oh, I accidentally deleted this or deleted this. So we literally had to create a 30-day recycle bin for a lot of people who are just deleting things by accident.
Oh,
yeah, it's funny.
I got to have your restoration, all that ready, because you never know what can happen.
You never know. So tip number 15.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that before you hire any company, that make sure see how responsive they are via telephone. I am a telephone person. I'm pretty judgy, David. So if I'm helping them with a fix or something, and they say, well, the only way I can get a hold of them is by emailing. I'm like, well, how fast are they on their emails? Because you're paying me. They go, well, sometimes I don't hear back for a few days. I go, well, great. Now we have to put our call on hold so they can take 3 days to get back to you. I don't like 3-day responses. Your service level agreement should be instant if they are hosting your email. Okay? If you have a problem, you should be able to call them and say, I need help now. That's why I hate to say clients use the big companies. I'm not going to name names. But, the big ones we hear about, they use them because they have a phone number that they can call and get 24-hour help. So if you are going to pick a company down the street, to help host your email, let's say, you better be sure that at 9 o'clock at night on a Friday, they are available if your email server is down.
Yeah. I mean, you're losing money. You literally you can't work. Your life stops.
Yeah, and I'm okay with a company having another hosted company that they work with, but make sure you can call them, because I'll tell you that if you have a guy down the street that's managing your stuff without a backup, and he's having drinks with his buddies, do you think he's really going to care about your email?
Right. I mean, it's true.
They have a backup, because I'm all for that backup. I have a backup company I use, and it's not because I want to be free on Friday nights, but I tell my clients, we use a vendor for a reason. I don't know where you are in life. So let's say you're on travel in Hawaii and you decide that you want to do something with your email and it breaks, and my vendor company I use is open 24 hours a day. You call them first, you're paying them. I don't do reselling. I always have the clients work with my vendor.
It's awesome. Well, it means you're very non-biased, and you just choose vendors who you love that work really well.
Well, they're open 24 hours a day, and they're in Florida, so you can't beat that.
Like us in Florida. So just actually going to the next tip as well, tying into the backup. So it's funny, a lot of people actually use PracticePanther as sort of like a secondary backup, although we don't recommend it obviously for backing up your emails, but people do that, where you could actually sync your emails from Outlook to PracticePanther, like I said before. So if you're emailing someone, you could forward that email or BCC that email to PracticePanther, so you also have the emails readily available and searchable in PracticePanther. And the cool thing is, if you look at the screenshot on the left, we actually give you a folder, not a label, a folder on the left of Outlook or a label in Gmail called PracticePanther with subfolders that will automatically be created for every contact and every matter. So it's really simple to be super organized. If you ever have a new case you're working on, that folder will appear right away in Outlook, and you can just drag and drop all the emails, or make a rule to automatically put those emails into those folders, which will automatically put those emails also into PracticePanther for you. It's all about automation.
That's right.
Yeah.
Automation, well, it helps. I mean, there's still the people side to automation, but, I like things that do work on their own that don't need me.
Yes, yeah, I do too. So it looks like, wow, that was quick. We finished.
That's
crazy. Wow, Lisa, you were awesome. I can't believe it went by so fast. I want to thank you so much again. So we have, you have a few minutes for I think we'll do about 2 questions here. You're free?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we had a few more questions that came in by email. We'll get back to you after, as we're out of time already, but we'll take 2 questions quickly. So let's see. Julie asked, if I have an issue with Outlook, what should I typically do first? So I'll answer the first part. I'll say, Julie, the first thing you should not do is do a Google search and try to do it yourself. And I think you should find an expert to help you with it. Lisa, what do you think?
Well, here's the first thing I can tell folks, that it depends on what problem they're having. Is a lot of times if email's not working, sending and receiving, just a simple reboot will fix a lot of issues. Most of the issues that happen with Outlook lately are Windows updates, Outlook, and Office 365 updates. So if you just go and reboot real quick, that probably will fix it, okay? Secondly, is if you already rebooted and you have problems, think, do I remember seeing a Windows update happen, or an Office, or did I click on a button? Think of what you did last. Then go in reverse and go, okay, I clicked this button and now it doesn't work. So at least you have a memory of it if you need to call your tech or call me. Like I said, I don't try to fix things I don't know. I don't fix my own plumbing. So I tell people, if you don't know what you're doing, call someone to help. Yep.
Awesome. Great advice. And next question, which is kind of similar, tying into it, from Martin. What are some typical things you can help our firm with as a consultant, and what are your typical contract lengths or rates? So do you have long-term contracts and stuff like that?
No, I don't do contracts at all. Typically, a firm will call me when they have an Outlook issue, and then I help them, and then I say, well, if you want to upgrade to a support ticket, I can do that, and then you can use me on the help desk level. But that's just one service. That's the support. Some clients are like, we want to move the whole company to Office 365, and that's when I go into consultant hat.
Mode.
Then I help migrate all your email to Exchange. I help train you on the products. I do all the setup on each computer. You might want to use the full Office 365 suite, which would include Teams, planning, bookings, SharePoint, OneDrive. And the thing you want to be prepared about is if you're going to go to the next level and get into the Office 365, is you better have a budget ready of what you plan to spend, because that'll matter when it comes to hiring your consultant and their fees.
Right.
And be aware, this is how I'll close this whole thing, is when you call a consulting company and they say, oh yeah, we can help you with SharePoint, say, prove it. Show me your SharePoint sites. I can tell you how many people have been kind of lied to and been like, they said they were going to set up all our SharePoint sites and they didn't do anything. So make them prove what they do. I have a demo I do for clients. I go, look, this is a basic SharePoint. This is basic this is basic that. If you want the extras, you can hire another expert to do the blingy stuff. But I do basic people, yep.
Let me ask you, are people typically usually calling you for the first time for emergencies only? How many calls are you getting for emergencies?
Yeah, I get probably about, I think 60% of my work is break fix and 40% is migrations. But the migration work in Office is from the break fix people that I move up to the next level, see? But
Right.
go to Google and type Office 365 expert. I'm #1 in the world now.
Oh my
Because I
God.
have some great SEO skills, okay?
I'm so not surprised. You're so knowledgeable also, besides that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that when people call, I always give them a free consult, and I tell them, here's what to expect, and I ask them the right questions. And sometimes I say, you don't need Office 365 because you have Dropbox set up, and you've got Google Chat, and you just need Exchange. And then I also make sure that the core employees use Outlook because Exchange is not for everybody.
Right.
Some companies want to stay on Google, which I have no idea why, but they do.
Yeah.
Or they stay on the Gmail app anyway. But I try to do what's best for the clients, and I've actually saved people thousands of dollars before with a 1-hour consult. So,
Wow.
yeah, because sometimes if they don't know what they're doing, I say, consider me that second opinion, like when you go get a doctor's second opinion, hire me for an hour, let's talk it out. I saved one company $4,000 in a 1-hour consult because they were going to
Oh my God.
not need. They already had the product.
For some reason, I feel like a lot of law firms love complicating their lives. I don't know why.
Well, just don't listen to everybody now because there's so many things. And if you work with your IT people and they're telling you one thing and you're like, okay, let's go talk to Lisa and see what she says, I'll already ask you what they said, then I'll compare the two. And I could care less if you hire me. You just paid me to tell you. I'm like the expert they hire for an hour, like a lawyer might have that, just I'll tell you what you
Right.
need to know. Then we can get into
Right.
the big jobs later, but sometimes people just need to talk to somebody and explain stuff and get the real information, And I always do my best, and I never lie and tell people I know something if I don't know how to do it.
Got it. And for anyone else to reach you, I know it's not my information on top, but that's okay. So for Lisa's information, Lisa, how do you prefer to be contacted? By email, phone, or schedule meetings?
You can email me, Lisa at CallThatGirl.biz. If you call my 612 number, you will get my answering service, who are very professional, and they're open 24 hours a day. And then they send me an email, and I'll call you back in between appointments.
Awesome. All right. Well, Lisa, once again, I want to thank you so much for being here today. You are awesome. I really appreciate it.
You're a good interviewer, Dave.
Thank you. And once again, we want to also thank everyone for joining us today. This webinar was recorded, so we will email it to you shortly. And Lisa, thank you so much again today. I'll call you right after. And everyone have a great weekend, everyone.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.